Resuming debate, the honourable member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, you know, it is always an honour to rise in the House of Commons and speak on behalf of the people of Peterborough-Kawartha. It's an even bigger responsibility as the critic or shadow minister for families, children and social development. Without families, without healthy children, you have a serious, serious problem in this country. And, Mr. Speaker, there's no doubt whatsoever that there is some serious, serious problems in this country. I will be 45 years old in 2 weeks. And in my time living here, I have never seen Canada in the state that it is in at this time. I've never seen kids struggle in the way that they struggle. I've never seen seniors struggle in the way they struggle. And every member in this House would know this if they door knock, which is part of our job when an election comes, is to knock on the doors of people, to listen to them, to hear them, to take the emails, to take the phone calls. And I've never seen such genuine misery and fear in my life. And I come from a very small community. I come from a small community originally it's called Douro. And Douro is what I always call the foundation of Canada. It has these four corners. It has the elementary school. It has the church. It did have a town store, a general store, like a mercantile. Sadly, it burned down. And the town hall was right beside it on the same corner. And it has a graveyard. And I want to also say thank you to my honourable member. I'll be splitting my time today with the other, as they call us, the Peterborough Pistols, the honourable member from Peterborough South. And so this community of Douro really represented what Canada is, right? It's this community when you need help. Your neighbors show up. You have community centres where you had, you know, the weddings and the events and the hockey games and the soccer games, and you had the schools, and everybody knew everybody and everybody helped everybody. And slowly the erosion of this country has happened, and it's no coincidence that it's happened in the last 9 years under the leadership of this Prime Minister. I want to tell you a surprising stat that we are officially the longest minority government without an election in Canadian history, surpassing Lester B. Pearson's government in 1968. Why? The leader of the NDP. Why the leader of the NDP? Because this Prime Minister knew he was tanking, knew his gaslighting was no longer working, right? He took Canadians, he says, sunny ways, sunny days, things will never be better. And Canadians caught on really quickly when they realized they couldn't afford the interest rates, they couldn't afford to keep their mortgage, and they can't afford food. They can't afford food. $700 extra a year in groceries. 2 million Canadians a month are using a food bank. 33% of those are children. The Autonomy South Monaghan Food Cupboard operates in my, well, soon to be my riding, but my colleague's riding of Peterborough South. She came to my office last week and she said, Michelle, we've seen a 100% increase in the usage of food banks. And she said, these aren't, you know, your most vulnerable. These are working families. They're doing everything that was asked of them. Every single thing. And they go to work and they can't afford to feed their kids. They can't afford to feed their kids. And so what you have here today is, I think it's deeply upsetting because you've never had people work so hard and feel so hopeless. We have the worst GDP in the G7. The worst. And, you know, people want to say, oh, it's the sign of the times, it's everything. They want to blame it on everything. Leadership. Leadership. You know, I often say politics is very much like parenting. It's a very perfect metaphor for parenting. because it is your job as a parent to give your kid the tools and knowledge to go and thrive. And you should never be on the field with your child. You should be there to help them. If you do everything for them, what happens? They don't learn how to do that. You have a government right now and a coalition, because that Prime Minister knew he was going to lose. He knew that everybody was catching on to the misery and chaos he created. Increasing crime, victims' rights are no longer. Last week was the week of victims' rights. Not one mention from that side of the House about victims' rights. Not one. But hey, you know what? Let's make sure the criminals have all the rights they need. Let's make sure they get transferred to medium security without telling anybody. Let's secretly do that. Let's transfer Luca Magnotta and tell them not to tell the public. Don't worry about the victims. Don't worry about re-traumatizing people. So the Prime Minister says, okay, I know I'm going to tank. I know I'm going to lose. I'm going to go get the leader of the opposition to sign a coalition with me, and then we're going to say all of these things. We're going to continue to gaslight Canadians, and hopefully nobody will catch on. Everybody's caught on. Nobody believes anything they say, and they're so frustrated and exhausted. Every day in question period, they say, Michelle, why do they not answer anything? Why do they just deflect and not answer the questions and pretend everything is perfect? And there's no other better example of this than the child care, right? This was their whole marketing program. Child care is great. So I go and I visit a local child care in my riding last week. Amazing woman. You know, single mom. She decides to bring kids into her home to care for them, to help offer flexibility for the parents who need to go to work. And she said, Michelle, I can't even afford the cost of food is out of control. And if you want to feed kids healthy food, and we all know what you put in your gas tank determines your overall productivity, right? It determines your overall ability to function. And she said, it's just unbelievable, the cost of food. You know, it used to be, I think the most shocking thing for me is people will write to me and they'll say, Michelle, I'm so embarrassed because I make $100,000 and I still can't pay my mortgage and feed my kids, and we've had to cut back sports. And then your health is compromised. Your mental health is compromised. These kids' health are compromised. I went and spoke in a grade 10 civics class last week. And these kids were sharp, very, very sharp. They were in tune. And I'll say, one of the great things, I think social media has caused a lot of problems in the world, especially for young people. But they were pretty dialed in. And they knew a lot of things. And they said, Michelle, I don't ever think I'll own a home. I don't even know why I go to school. I don't even know what to do. I don't want to stay in our town because there's no jobs. There's no housing that's affordable. These kids are 15 years old. And they're burdened with adult problems. And they were genuinely concerned. And so I think there's this real problem of acknowledging the actual facts. And here's some real facts to change the course we're on. If you tax fuel, every single thing goes up. Yep. Every single thing. And this carbon tax is the demise of an already crushed society that can't afford to live. It's like, oh, you're down? I'm going to punch it while you're down just a little bit more. And it's wild. You go talk to any farmer, you go talk to anyone, especially business owners. And for the record, small business is the whole backbone of this country. It is 98% of this economy. And they are being destroyed every single day. When you increase the tax on the small business, these are not people that are swimming in gobs of money. They are trying to make a living. They're trying to provide a service for families, for themselves, and they can't do it. They're shutting down. Anybody, go downtown, any major city in this country, and the boards and the out-of-business sales, restaurants. Why? Because this Prime Minister, who got into a coalition with that guy for power and control has doubled down an ideology that you can't make your own decisions. They know what's better for you. They'll do it for you, and they are going to cripple you and make them dependent on you. It's baffling, and it's so upsetting because you're in here and you're
The honourable member's time is up. I've been giving her some signals.